one night in Bangkok. Thankfully, it will only be one night in Bangkok for Jeonbuk. It is one to forget for them. What happened? Thoughts on the performance, first of all?
Well, first of all, it's quite fortunate that Jeonbuk have players at the Asian Games. Yes, I said fortunate because when you type in Jeonbuk on Naver, you're getting the Jeonbuk players who played in the Asian Games, where Korea did quite well on the same night. So it's kind of buried, thankfully, in that sense. But no, I don't think there is any getting away from this. Jeonbuk losing 3-2 to Bangkok United in the end. Well, where to start, really? It was another underwhelming performance. Fresh off the back of a humbling to Daegu as well at the weekend, and fortuitous win over Gwangju the week prior, which we talked about in the last pod. For the match itself, well, to go through what happened, there was a fantastic own goal from Tosawe Limwan in the 19th minute. Cracking diving header to try and cut out the ball into Gustavo. And I can only think Gustavo was watching on and hopefully learning something, really, given his woes in front of goal this season. But Bangkok, they did come straight back into it. It was an excellent equaliser, actually, moments later. Low from the edge of the area from Rograth Punchintek. An unfortunate own goal then later on from An Hyun Bom gave Bangkok the lead. It would have gone in anyway if he hadn't put it in. It was going to unmarked Bangkok player at the far post, so he tried to cut it and put it into his own net. But yeah, then a well taken effort from Bangkok's Willen. He made it 3, although as most of this match, the defending should have been far better on that one from Jeonbuk's perspective. Decent consolation from Moon Min at the end, but no reason to dance in this time. Yeah, Petrescu, he stuck rigidly to his 4-2-3-1. Gustavo, he led the line for the whole match, and it kind of just underlined how lacking Jeonbuk are in the strike department there. Really, Gustavo's still not been able to really rediscover his touch this season, and there isn't any options, partly through injury, partly through it's Chokyu Sung going away. So there isn't anything really there to replace him. Anyan Bomi started on the right with Han Kyo-won on the left initially, which is a bit odd, but then they switched over quite quickly, and then An shifted to right back later when that own goal went on. That was to accommodate Min Son Min, who came on. And that kind of also underscores Jeonbuk's problems in defence. They haven't really had a consistent defence this season, and it showed. This was like a poor defensive performance from Jeonbuk. They just continue to look unorganised. They're inconsistent at the back with their selection choices. This is partly through injuries, partly through sales of players as well, in terms of I've forgotten his name. But yeah, so no. I was going to say Minju Han. Paul, I'm going to have to cut this for a second. I've forgotten his name.
Kim Moon-wan.
Kim Min-hwan. Oh, no. Dead in my memory. Dead. Just slipped me completely there. Jong Jae was playing it right back for this one. Kim Jin-soo at left back, but he's kind of on the mend from injury. And Hong Jong-ho, he started on the bench as well. It's Dong Tae-ok and Koo Ja-rong to start in centre back here. So there's no consistency in defence, and they continue to look lost when they're pressed. And yeah, they also just they don't look right going forward either. They can't, when they get that ball to the final third, this match in particular, if you look at the stats of all their recent matches, accuracy of passes into the final third dropped off a cliff in this match. It was at 50% accuracy getting those balls into the final third. Normally under Petrescu, it's been in the high 70s or 80s per match. So I mean, even though they've been struggling in front of goal, they've been at least creating the chances. This was just unorganised throughout. So yeah, just a really bad night at the office for Jeonbuk here, and I guess some credit to Bangkok United. They did finish runners up in the Thai Premier League last season, and they did win their FA Cup as well. But yeah, they were the better team here and deserving of the result.
Well, of course, Jeonbuk did win their first group stage game, so they do have 3 points. But what does this then mean in terms of the group and how it looks and qualifications for the knockouts?
Well, I mean, well, in terms of Jeonbuk, not a lot for Jeonbuk, really, logically speaking, because there's still 4 games left to play, and 2 are in Jeonju, where Jeonbuk are likely to perform a bit better. And these kind of performances, though, are going to probably give their opposition some inspiration. But Jeonbuk will be getting players back from the Asian Games, Paek Sung-ho and Song Min-kyu in particular. But yeah, at the moment, as you said, how does it stand? That means that Jeonbuk are now second on 3 points. They're trailing by Bangkok 6. Their next opponents, Lion City Sailors, they're in third with 3 points also, while Kitchi, they sit bottom on 0.
Rightio. Well, let's move on to the other game from Wednesday. While it's still fresh in our minds, Pohang 3, Wuhan 3 Towns 1. Well, a good win, I suppose, for Pohang, but the scoreline doesn't quite tell the whole story. It was a thunderbolt from Shin Gwang-hoon to get them off the mark early-ish, and then a second half brace from Zeka to make it 3-1. And like I say, 2 wins from 2 for Pohang in Group J. But in terms of the performance, it could have been much more comfortable if Iho J had have timed his run an atto second faster on both occasions that he got his goals chalked off. Perhaps he can learn from the latest Nobel Prize winners who were able to capture atto seconds with their technology, but perhaps not. But anyway, Wuhan had a man sent off just before half time, but even before that, Pohang were largely in control. And the second goal was really just a matter of time, as to the third. Now, Wanderson being out injured meant that they didn't have a left footer at left back. Now, it was Park Sung-uk who filled in there with Shin Gwang-hoon on the right. And given that Shin scored after cutting in from the right, showed that this kind of worked to a certain extent. But Pohang lacked any width down the left. And Park Sung-uk he sort of cut in every time onto his right foot, and it became very, very predictable. And that sort of area of the pitch was rarely used, if ever. So, without a fit left back at the moment, Kim Ki-dong might have been tempted to go for a back 3 with Grant, who is left-footed, on the left side of a 3, but he didn't. He stuck to his 4. And I would say that in K-League or against 11 men or even just a stronger team, this might be an issue as we head into the sort of latter rounds of the K-League this season. But I have read that Shim Sang-min, who has been out for a while, is due back soon. So that will be a boost for Pohang fans. Now, like I said, it could have been more comfortable. But and Zeka's first goal was very lucky. Poor goalkeeping, to be honest. It was right at him, went straight through him. Wasn't a powerful shot. But Kim Ki-dong obviously realised that they had to really win this game, make the most of the home games, get the 3 points. And he tried to make the most of Zeka and Iho J's physical presence. So he went for those two kind of up top, and it was a very attacking sort of formation in that second half in particular. He brought off Kim In-sung, so that sacrificed some of the natural width that Pohang had. But I thought their 4 plays linked up very well. The third goal was a really nice counter-attack and some good link-up play, good feet, and a good touch as well by Zeka, who sort of, his first touch set him up perfectly to give him the space and create the angle to shoot and find the bottom corner. So yeah, 3-1. Could have been 5-1. They had quite a few chances, even without the goals that weren't disallowed. But overall, Pohang will be very, very happy because now they're in the driving seat in their group. 6 points, 2 clear of Urawa Reds, who they play away next. Did you catch any of this game?
I caught bits of it. Obviously, I was at the time bracing myself for what was going to happen in Bangkok. But I mean, watching the highlights back, it just must be a joy to be a Pohang fan this season. They look really good. I thought they just moving the ball well, and as you're saying, they get like these setbacks, the setbacks at left back and things, and Kim Ki-dong just finds practical ways of overcoming them, and yeah, it's just they're just playing really well. They're playing really well as well at the right time of the season, and it kind of gives hope that they might be able to make things interesting post-split as well. So, but we're going to talk more about that later.
And can we just say that we stand with Wanderson. He was subject to some racist abuse on Instagram after the East Coast derby. Not sure who it was from or what team they support, but there was a reference to Hollywood action. Now, those outside of Korea might not know that this is a kind of a phrase that's used by commentators here in the press. It basically means play acting or sort of making the most of a challenge or something. If you've gone down and you pretend that you're injured. And also, he suffered a very bad injury. He got elbowed in the face, and he's obviously, I think, broke his jaw, and he might be out for a number of weeks. There was a statement released by Pohang a couple of days ago that sort of gave a timeline on his recovery. It says 6 weeks. So it's going to be very, very close if he is even able to feature again this season. He'll miss probably the FA Cup, which is, it's just a real shame because I spoke to him about what it would mean for him to win the FA Cup or any kind of silverware with Pohang. You can't use that interview now because it's I was saving it for the build-up to the FA Cup in early November. But yeah, just wish him a speedy recovery and hope we don't have any more of those ugly incidents like that and racist sort of abuse, whether it be on social media or in the stands or whatever. But let's move on to Ulsan's game. They lost away in Japan 1-0 to Kawasaki Frontale on Tuesday night. An 89th minute goal from the captain of Kawasaki as well. It was Kento Tachibanada. He broke Ulsan's hearts, and it meant that it was really a game that they were. I thought as long as the game went on and edged towards the 90, I thought this is a decent result. They've not really offered a great deal attacking wise. In fact, they had one shot on target out of 5 total attempts, and that was quite a tame shot as well. I thought a clean sheet and a draw away in Japan for any K-League team was always going to be a good result. But then they had that sort of heartbreak right at the end. But it's a very interesting team selection by Hongmungbo. Kim Ji-hyun was chosen to lead the line. Cho Hyun-taek played at left back instead of Im Young-jae, who was on the bench. He's obviously been first choice at left back this season. Ju Min-kyu on the bench as well. So too Martin Adam. Both came on, as I get to in a little bit. But only 4 outfield players kept their places in the team from the weekend. So that suggests to me that the game against Incheon this weekend coming is more important to Ulsan than this, I would say. I mean, it's obviously only match week 2, but it's a fairly pivotal game, going away to the team that would probably be the second favourites or, one of the favourites to sort of win the group.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, well, they haven't got the lead that they should have had in the league. They've let that slip. And while they're probably not far off now securing the league, it'd be incredibly embarrassing for them to lose it at this point. And also, it may just be a case of fitness. I mean, they've had a derby at the weekend. Those games tend to get quite intense. It may just be a case of rotating to manage fitness. There are a lot of games coming thick and fast, but yeah, it is still strange considering there is the break, a short break after round 33. It's difficult to tell on that one, but yeah,
to have both Martin Adam and Ji Min-kyu on the bench, and very, very strange. I mean,
it's not like they've got an easy group.
Right. It's maybe wanted a more willing runner up front to chase things down in Kim Ji-hyun, but I don't know. It was a strange choice. Like I said before, one shot on target. They had more of the ball as well. It was 53% possession, and they were helped by some really early wayward shooting by Kawasaki. They had 2 or 3 really good chances in the first 10, 15 minutes or so. Ulsan had to sort of try and defend a bit, certainly in that first half of the first half. Now, when Martin Adam came on with about 10 minutes into the second half played, he helped give them someone to sort of aim for and bring others into play, as we know that he often does. But it was a game of low attacking quality. Ulsan had very little say in it at all. They would have taken a point, I'm sure. But yeah, they were undone in the end by a great goal. It's a great strike, about 22 yards out, I think, struck first time into the far corner. And well, now this defeat doesn't help at all with their kind of sticky patch of form. They thought they played their way back into form with the win over PG Pathum United a couple of weeks ago, but then they've kind of still been finding it difficult to find any sort of consistency. In terms of the ACL group, though, obviously it's only match day 2, but still they're third in the group now, level on points with JDT, level on goal difference with 1, but JDT have scored 4, Ulsan 3. So Ulsan will have to get their act together and really sort of get their ACL campaign back on track. But one more game, of course. Incheon, having a great time in ACL, aren't
they? They are absolutely superb.
It's easy, fun. Isn't it? It's easy. This,
yeah. it's just great watching them. They're just playing without a care. I mean, obviously, this was probably of the 6 games in this group. This was probably the game that they were expected to win at home to probably the lowest seeded team in this group. But still, 4 goals probably should have been more. It was an emphatic home performance to really get the Champions League under the way. I mean, yeah, they got it underway in such fantastic fashion in the first match that, yeah, you forget that this is their first proper group game in front of a home crowd.
Yeah, because it looked like this would have been the game where they would realistically have been getting their first ACL win, but obviously they got that in Yokohama a couple of weeks ago. But Magosa off the mark in ACL now. He obviously got 2, could have been more. He had a goal, 2 goals chalked off or 1, I can't remember. But he got 2. Jerso Fernandez was there to tee up his mate Hernandez for 3. And then a stunning free kick from Umpoko made it 4. But Incheon, of course, they started all 5 of their foreign players in the team. Obviously, they can't do that in the K-League. It was a 3-5-2, as you would expect from Cho Sung-man. But it was, as you've seen as well a lot this season, Magosa and Jerso as the 2 strikers. Umpoko and Hernandez were the 2 attacking midfield players, with Moon Ji-wan kind of behind them. And then a back 3 or 5, depending on how you look at it. Now, this obviously was a bit of rotation that they were afforded because of the win in Yokohama the round before. And, of course, with Ulsan in mind coming up at the weekend, because obviously Incheon, they are still trying to get into the top 6. It's not it's kind of in their hands, but they play Ulsan. So it's going to be quite difficult for them. So they had to think about that. They had to rest a few players. Kwon Han-jin came in at centre-back, and Kim Gun-hee on the right side of that, not the first lady of South Korea, I hasten to add. But Lee Mung-jo on the bench, and Shin Jin-ho not in the squad, but I have read that he might have been injured. And obviously Kim Do-hyuk and Kim Dong-min on the bench too. They are both regulars. So the front sort of 4, 5, 6 strong, obviously with their foreign players. But in the middle and at the back, it was obviously quite a rotated lineup from Cho Sung-man. But I just thought a very professional performance. It could have been more, as we said, but alas, it wasn't to be. Kaya limited to just 1 shot on target from 5 overall attempts. And Kim Dong-hon, actually, the goalkeeper, he said that he'd never experienced this before in his relatively short career, admittedly. They got the job done in the first half. It was 3-0 after half-time, and rightly so, I think. The manager took off Magosa and Jerso. Now, anybody who plays Football Manager will know that he would have been asked this question, or should have been asked this question in the post-match, that on a hat-trick, Magosa was upset. And he looked a little bit miffed, didn't he? I'm not sure if you watched it and you saw the camera cut him a few times, and he was, I don't know, on a hat-trick. You might have wanted to
Well,
to get that.
I think his goals will be far more valued if he can get them against Ulsan at the
Yeah,
weekend.
absolutely. What I noticed about Ulsan was they had quite a bit of joy getting crosses into the box. They probably knew that they'd have to be more patient if they wanted to try and hit Kaya on the counter attack, like they would perhaps normally do in the K League. And that's where the first goal came from. A great cross in from the right by Min Kyung-hyun. Textbook header as well from Magosa. 5 yards out, heading it down into the ground. Keeper, no chance. Second goal was a pen. It wasn't a cross as such, but it came from Incheon trying to use their width and get into the box. Magosa fouled. Kim Ji-up obviously was the player who fed it into Magosa. Makes no mistake in converting straight down the middle, which just shows the confidence of the man. And yeah, 19 minutes in, 2-0 up. Third goal was a bit more like Incheon that we see in the K League, playing through the middle. Jerso, very, very unselfish to square the ball to Hernandez, who basically walks it in. I thought it's worth mentioning that there's a great ball through by Umpoko to Jerso in the first instance for that move. But 3 goals now in 2 games in the ACL for Hernandez. And yeah, Incheon, after 36 minutes, it's 3-0. Second half was less about getting balls into the box from crosses, more about balls into the channels for the winger or wing back to try and sort of create overloads. They got the fourth as a free kick, and it's nice to see Umpoku get on the score sheet. He worked very hard, and he obviously plays a slightly deeper role than the other sort of 3 attacking foreign players. But he was excellent, deserved his goal. Could have been more, as you said, Matthew. Kimbo Sup was offside, but 4-0, they'll be very, very happy with that. But in terms of the group, well, 6 points. 6 points from 6 available. 3 clear now of Shandong, who are in second, and Yokohama in third. So obviously that win over Yokohama showed that reaching the knockouts is now a real possibility for Incheon. If they can beat Kaya again and get anything from the 2 Shandong games, then they might just do that.